I'm going road tonight.
I'm sick, she's gonna be out sick.
Ready? I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. I'll stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
There's a motion and a second.
I make the motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion carries. Presentation and discussion of the budget for fiscal year 24-25.
Mayor, Commissioners, thank you guys for taking time out tonight to come out and listen to the department heads. Each one has taken time to go through their department to list out what the needs are for the coming budget year. I'm giving you a printout of budget by expense item numbers, so that way as they're talking, you can make notes in the areas that they're looking at having an increase. The section that's in yellow is actually determined by whatever your decision is with salaries, and then the FICA, retirement, and insurance falls out based on whatever those current rates are. All right, and we'll just go through everybody's presentation and ask questions if there's something that you want clarity on, and we'll just go through the departments. Anybody want to volunteer to go first?
I was gonna say, can we leave after we give our presentation?
We're not taking an order of.
Oh, we can go in order. So for the first order is admin department, which is 14. Which that will be Ms. Holly. We'll just do that. We'll go through administration, fire department, police department, public works, water plant, and last but not least, the sewer plant.
It always comes out in the end, doesn't it?
So we've talked about murals. And the gentleman out of Thomasville that had reached out to me, this is what he came back with. And so I kind of just showed you what I typed back to him. Just speaking from my thoughts, but thinking maybe the board would think the same. I just told him, I mean, really the artwork, and I appreciate art. The artwork is exceptional. I just don't feel it's right for that building. I think that needs to be on something that's in Charlotte. I mean, you know.
Oh, that's what he wants to put on the bill.
That is what he presented to me. And I just,
25,000?
no. I quoted out two different ones because I really don't know until they come back to me. I'm estimating based on a conversation I had with the lady out of Concord. So anyway, I'm throwing these amounts out as potential amounts for once I get legit proofs. I reached out to him back in January and he's still yet to come back with the second option. But I did not want to not share this in case someone loves it. So, but anyway, more or less, I'm looking to just get approval for funding for at least one or two murals. When I spoke to the lady out of Concord initially, dating way back, she said they can run anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, depending on what you do. So that is my first request, is to have some funding for a mural. Going forward, I did two different options for a new town sign at the top of Red Hill. So this gentleman at Cowboy Signs came back with an estimation of $10,000, and I estimated rock work and labor. I hope I'm close enough on that. Hopefully it'll be less than that if we went with an option of this sort. There is a second option on the next page. This is totally different. Thought I would just put a different view on it just to see what people might like. She came back with $2,400, and then of course, if we did the post and art, rock work, estimating $4,000 for that. So no more than $6,400. We can go as elaborate as you want as far as rock work, or we can go as minimal. I did reach out to a subcontractor for an LED board. He actually quoted me higher than what I have here because in his quote to me, it was double-sided. And so I just broke it in half. $11,000 for the board, 2-line board, $4,000 for installation and whatever necessary electrical work would need to be.
Paula,
If you don't like either of these, I can start construction.
I like this one here, but what I was gonna mention, I mean, I like both of them, but
Which
you
one
know
are you
that,
pointing at?
I like this one. I like that.
The blue?
Yeah, which I
And
like.
we can
that
do
one, too.
whatever color. He just happened to put it in the blue.
But what I was gonna mention was that Chrissy had a sign that the Rock Garden did, that they're doing this metal thing. And it was a beautiful design she even bought for Jason's veterinary. And then they can put it up on a beautiful, it was put up on a beautiful board. And I just thought they have done some really nice work. I didn't know if you've seen hers on Facebook and Jason's, but I was just gonna mention somebody that didn't, that
Okay.
did something like that. And then I was just gonna say this about the bird. I mean, their artwork's good, but can the artist not read something about our history and maybe
Well,
mix something in there
my-
that pertains to Denton?
I didn't really want to do history on this one per se, because the long one close to the farmer's mark, I really wanted to go with the history thing on that one. What I did ask him initially, and I put in my notes here, I said, you know, our town symbol has a tree in it. I said, if you can start with a tree, maybe do 4 seasons. I said, we have the Uaris, the mountains, the lake, kind of incorporate all of that in. And that's what I got back. And so, but his argument is everyone is now going to the more kind of eccentric look, more eye appealing, more, you know, everybody knows what you have in your town, let's go with something different. And that's what he came up with. And I was like, whoa. But anyway,
Which is 9, which is 15? I got it. Buildings, which buildings are they?
okay, so the building that the Peacock's turn on is the side of Cantor Shoes, facing Country Common.
Yeah.
The other side facing the farmer's market is, I've spoken with Mike Morris. He and his sister have agreed to allow us to put something there.
Okay.
Of course, they would like to see it first. So I have a couple of different options I'm thinking about for there. But I have not started on that because I was really trying to get one done first.
Now remember the
So-
art, that I got you some artists that's willing to do the other side.
Well, there's another third location that I want to do. So I will present what my thoughts are once we get number 1 done first. I kind of like to not have 5 things going at one time and do one complete and get it taken care of. So I know this is not complete, but I know that we do need funding approved for a mural. Or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to the signs, there are 2 different options there, 2 different styles. Do you like either of those?
I like option 1. Yeah, I do too.
Option 1, okay. He recently did the quote, again, he had quoted it for me about 6 months to a year ago, and I verified that the amount would be correct. You know, again, the rock work and labor, I did estimate that. So I can pursue this. Do you want a top color background? Do you like these colors? Do you want to go something with the green tones that's kind of in our downtown area?
I would think we need 2 bids too at least.
Okay. Well, to say this, the lady that quoted this second one, I did forward her an image of that. I did not have a reply for this meeting, so that would be my second bid. If that's the style you want, I know which direction to go in.
And what is this made of? Stone, like the
It's
sign itself?
like a resin type that is sandblasted to make grooves, kind of like what we had. But the one we had literally had deteriorated, and when this last storm came through, ripped it off the post and tore a big chunk out of the back. So it was not salvageable.
Here's, I was gonna show you, this is Chrissy's sign for her, Chrissy's dog grooming that they did at the Rock Garden. That they do that metal work down there, and here's,
Show them, I'll pull it
and
up.
here's the H that they did, but here's, Aaron's work.
Is it, and just, is the state okay with the rock work?
That's Jason's.
We probably would have to make sure that they're okay. I mean, we've had a sign there for years, we've got flags there, but,
Right,
may
it gotta
have
be
to-
breakaway or something, seem like.
right. So just making sure that that's approved through them. They may even ask us to do some type of agreement for that area.
I like that.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I
I understand that question and comment. What does the state have to approve, just so I understand that?
Because it's their right of way.
Okay, so because of that, they have to approve to use the rock work?
Yes.
Okay.
Most
I
of
just
them
like
have
to
be-
know once I'm talking to them.
Yeah, most of them have to be breakaway signs, so if they hit them, they're, you know, they give some.
Okay.
Which could make a difference in whether it goes all the way across the bottom or if it's just rock on the sides.
And that is an option to do just the bottom portion of the poles or to do elongated, as that shows.
And so as it's presented, the background is the tote, is that right?
And the option one, that's what I'm asking, what do y'all want?
I mean, to me, these pictures, that looks gray, that looks tote. But that's
Well,
just
the
me.
top one to me looks blue, but everybody picks up a different color, I don't know what y'all think. I thought that looked gray, that looked blue, but,
Well, it's gray and taupe to me, but
Okay.
it's funny how that is, but
what would y'all want? What
Why
would
don't
y'all-
they give us a couple of different varieties in a color we can tell, and let us pick from that? I mean, it's hard to pick from this, I think.
So do you want to stay in a certain color range?
I think a neutral range,
I think both of those colors are nice,
Mhm.
the gray and the taupe color, but I'd like to see it.
Yeah, or
So maybe,
more pronounced or something.
okay, all right.
I mean, I like the fact that that logo's down there. And if they wanted to incorporate a little more green somewhere, not the lettering, I like the lettering in white, but if there's, somewhere that they may want to pull that green back in. But not the whole background, correct?
If I can ask, do you like the lettering to say, welcome to the town of Denton, since this is actually the sign that's, at the center of 109 where we consider town. We have the two signs outside of town that say, welcome to Denton. The other one was just Denton, am I correct in saying that? The one that we just lost.
Yeah,
It
that
just
just
said
said
Denton.
Denton.
Oh, yeah, it did.
What if it just said, welcome to Denton? I mean, because it's a little wordy in there.
I mean, I like what it says, welcome to the town of Denton. I mean, I think it's pretty.
Give us a couple different mock-ups, maybe, I mean, there's no trouble, they're just doing on the computer, right?
Yeah, I felt sure that is how
Let's
they
give
did
us a
that.
couple different mock-ups.
Okay, all right.
That would look pretty down, that kind of sign would look pretty down there where that other one don't look so good at Harrison Park, that said, Harrison Park, because I like that brick.
That's a new sign at Harrison Park.
No, that other thing that's there,
The blue one?
that thing that's leaning, that's got the
The names on it, the
Yeah.
benefactors, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I should probably have, like, where does this fit in budget?
So probably either be under contracted services, or you could do it under, it just depends on where we drop it in.
Okay.
Commissioner Bean, you know, maintenance repair on, considering our property is a building, it's not a structure, but it's repair of our property, so we could drop it anywhere.
Okay, thank you.
Going forward, we are in need of upgrades on 2 computers, one being Angel's, the second one being Elizabeth's. Mine and Robin's has been updated last, so theirs need to be upgraded. Seems like when you buy a computer, they're almost obsolete at the time you install them because they just get upgraded so quickly. These were quotes from Tavis that does all of our computer work. And so he has listed total equipment as $1,950 and his labor $330 for the hardware as shown in the picture.
Are Dell's what you have already there? I have one Dell and I hate it, that's why I was asking.
We, knock on wood, we've never had any issues with this.
I've always had Dales and they've always worked.
They were last updated, the 2 that we're looking to update was 2017, that was last time, and memory's getting short. We tried to replace as we've gone along, but trying to get on a rotating schedule so it's not a complete cost for the entire department.
I guess it's, all y'all are linked together now, aren't you?
We are, we have a main server now, instead of it being run through one computer, so everybody pulls through the server, through the network. So.
Okay. Going to the next page, we have a gentleman that, and this is what brought this to my attention, that wanted to place some shrubs in the park, and there were a couple of different locations that I looked at, so we're going to be working on that probably in the morning towards the post office side, but on the right side of the pavilion and the grassed area, there was a tree that died. And currently there's pine needles and just a circle there. And I was thinking that it would be nice if we had something in that corner. It's under the big trees, it's kind of shaded. Maybe had a couple swings for people to enjoy. It would not probably be this size, and I'm not really sure what this size is. I just pulled in an image to give an idea of kind of what I was thinking. I did have Steve Morris and Branson quote it, and so the parts and labor was around $3,300. The swings, I'm factoring $200 a piece. I've seen them $150 to $200.
What kind?
Steve said that it would depend on exactly how large that may, decrease based on once they finally see what size that area would take, if that's an option that you would consider having a pergola in that area.
Paul, what kind of material are you anticipating the swings to be made out of?
I would just have to look at them further and see, of course, something that's going to last, not something that's going to.
There's a state spec you gotta follow if you put it in the park. You gotta have a throw radius, and it's gotta be made out of certain materials, and it's gotta be handicap compliant, and
It's like country swing.
they'll never let you do it out.
They put them everywhere now.
A wood one?
Probably be composite, I think.
Probably composite, but they do allow those in parks now.
I don't know, we went through the world when we put that playground in.
Cause it's, well, we can definitely check on
Well, I start to say, who would I need to reach out to for the guidelines for that?
The fellow that does the, splash pad,
it. Thomas
he's licensed to do it.
Washburn,
Thomas, yeah.
he's with the person there, with the Davidson County.
Marshall.
You talking about facing the stage to the right, towards the orchard?
Yes. Is that what they call that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is a nice area. I don't know if you guys have paid attention. It's a beautiful greenery, green space, and just be able to enjoy that, have somewhere that adults could potentially just hang out and sit.
For that price, does that include the block at the bottom?
No, no. We would leave
It'd be
it
just on dirt.
greenery.
It is grass.
They would, dig holes and secure the post in the ground, but leave it grass. Cause it really is, the grass there is beautiful. I wish I had it in my yard. It really is pretty there.
And if you're looking at going to a composite swing, you're probably looking at like probably 400 each.
Yep.
What's the lifetime of composite? Do you know?
Depends on the composite that's used. If it's a wood fiber and PVC, wood fibers are still going to absorb moisture. If you use something that has no wood fibers in it, like a mineral based or we're just throwing my head, but anyway, mineral and PVC or fiberglass and PVC, then you're looking at like 50 years.
Okay.
The bench we got down there is 20 years old.
Yeah, and they all look pretty good. I mean, we had them pressure washed this past year.
Yeah, they're a little faded and all that. I mean,
Yeah, but
they are.
they're not fading.
And that
Cotton down.
that was first generation composite too.
Okay,
Those are,
first generation?
Yeah.
Okay.
and composites come a long way since then.
We had the family place that new one in the park this past year, so they are still available in the same color and style. So,
So that's good.
yeah, we'll make you look into that.
Okay. All right. All right, moving forward. In our last, council meeting, we discussed music in the park. So did a little research on that. Several of the surrounding towns have designated, groups, that handle music in the park. Lexington Chamber of Commerce. Troy has their own Neighborhood Redevelopment Corporation that handles theirs. Kannapolis has a designated recreation and special event coordinator. Albemarle, they have a full Parks and Rec department that's paid staff, and they have a group that handles that. My recommendation on that, something for the board to consider, is maybe forming an advisory board, maybe even a commissioner, sit on the board, and maybe plan, because they're booking out. I did speak to Chocolate Chip, the gentleman from that. They're already booking into 2025, so it would not be anything we could book probably. It would be probably sparse to have anyone in 2024, but anyway. Speaking to an agent for several of these others, she listed $3,000. Cassette rewind was $5,000. They vary for like a 3-hour range. And when I spoke to Chocolate Chip, he said it would be about $3,000. They've got about a 4-hour drive because they're located in Myrtle Beach. But truthfully, after looking into it more and realizing that it is a committee that puts this together and is assigned to that, I would really recommend just having an advisory board for that.
Why can't it be part of Parks and Rec?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you might want to speak on that. I just feel like with their plate, I think that's already full. Plus, most of them work a full-time job, so I don't know.
It's definitely, I mean, there's a lot, if you're looking at doing an event that's gonna be considered for, you know, First Fridays or Second Saturdays, you know, something along that theme so it's catchy, people remember. To plan it and plan it well and stay on top of your advertising and making sure that
Food
they have,
trucks,
yeah, your
vendors.
food truck vendors and your, if you were gonna open up a part and have alcohol sales, that everything comes together. I'm not saying that they couldn't do it. It is just a lot to consider. For those of you who've been to other towns and have been a part of that, you know, there's a lot that is behind the scenes doing that. So, you know, you could potentially present it to them and ask if they feel like they could, but, it would help if we had a chamber of commerce in town that would help with a lot of that too.
Because you also have to have, I mean, these are pretty pricey, so if you're gonna have someone once a month or however often, I feel like you would have to have sponsorship and stuff like that to help cover the cost of that.
Are these weekend rates, or I know most of the bands charge more on
It would
Saturday.
probably, she just generically gave me
Okay,
a
so-
price. So I don't know specifically if it would increase with it being an actual weekend, but most of them are booked for weekends, so. But she did tell me some of them were booked further out. So,
It's really not a bad price for like Cat 5 and Too Much Silver. I mean, they're pretty hot bands.
and something else to think about, I mean, I don't know, I haven't attended these others. Do any of them charge cover fees other than, Scallywags? Okay.
None of the cities do.
Yeah, all the cities just have this free thing for them.
Yeah.
And Salisbury just will start theirs this weekend.
But they also have bigger, I guess, revenues than we have for the
Probably.
town, so they got
Troy really does.
a bigger budget to work from, I would say.
Troy's was interesting. Their town stage amphitheater is sponsored by a whole group, and they do fundraising for that, just for their concerts. It's real impressive what they've set up for them to be able to do what they do with that amphitheater. They've got a organization of about 25 people that handle it.
The mayor's always there. He's there from Troy, but now they have food trucks and then the local winery, which you have to buy your drinks. But they have food and everything. Yeah, it's really done well.
It's just something to, you know, start thinking about and planning, so. Okay, moving forward. Maintenance and repair for buildings. There are several areas in Town Hall that are starting to have water damage. When we've had those heavy rains, we've had to remove pictures off the wall to that side of the room. The paint had started bubbling up where the water's running down on the inside. In the front office of Town Hall, the front wall, it's also bubbling and filling as well. So, you know, there's a lot of little things. There's mold in the bathroom and the kitchen, which we're going to work on trying to get that taken care of. But these other areas, they came and painted the outside, or what did they do to correct this to keep it from?
So behind that picture with the gold frame, there on the outside there was a crack in the mortar, and so they have actually put a sealant in there to seal that from the outside. But on the inside, there's still, you can tell that there's a crack line coming across from where. And Michael can probably tell you more about it, but you know the ceiling being, the roof being flat, it holds water, and he's saying that over time he's noticed that the ceiling itself appears to be dropping, so it's not draining the way it should. The roof line is below the drain line, so.
It's that board they put under the rubber, it's compressed. That right there, that's an expansion joint. I'll peel some of it out, that one, that's an expansion joint.
Fix it.
Yeah. And then we've got.
I mean,
behind the pictures of the mayors on that side, you can see the moisture that's come through and it's bubbled the paint.
I mean, do we need a roof? Or is it?
Well, eventually, I think you're gonna need to. I think we even looked at that, Michael, if you remember, years ago about potentially having to put an A-frame roof, just so that it pushes the water off of the roof. So,
That's what I was wondering about. Kip
you know, I think that's probably gonna be our best solution so that we can maintain the structure and not have the issues going forward.
That's what South had to do, is go redo the whole roof or change it from flat because of all the mold.
There's been times, especially coming from down Bingham, if it's rained hard, it looks like a mirror across the top where the water's standing. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed it, but, you know, we, probably need to look into the cost and what it would cost to put an A-frame roof. I think we got prices years ago, but then the air conditioning had gone out, we weren't sure we would have to mount it on the roof, or, you know, what was that take place with that, but now that we have the mini splits, that's not an issue with that.
Okay, get us some pricing solutions.
Okay. Also, potentially improving security for town hall. We have a lot of traffic coming up and down the hallway, walking into offices and so forth. We've even had homeless walking in and bathing in our bathrooms. And that's a concern of mine because I certainly don't want to use the bathroom. You don't know if they've left anything in there that you could potentially touch, and I'm concerned for staff. So I would prefer to have a doorway at the front of that hall. We have a sign there now that just asks for people to check in at the front desk. But I really feel like that's a strong concern. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I have a strong concern for that. And I would hate for y'all to have to come in and use the bathroom and someone maybe have left a residue of something. I mean, I don't know what they're doing.
You mean
when
you're
they're
not gonna
bathing.
have them, they're not gonna be public anymore?
Well,
Or are they public now? Because you can't get through the back door.
Well, people do use the
yeah,
bathroom.
we have
quite
several that
frequently.
use it.
I mean, y'all have your own bathroom, correct?
Well, we have two bathrooms, one that's located behind the Robin's desk, and then the one that's in here. The one that's in here has been out of commission because, like she said, it had some mold issues, so Public Works has the work order to come in and kills it, paint it, let's get it sealed so that we can go back. We had a situation last week where someone came in and used the female bathroom and apparently had some health issues. We're not quite sure what happened, but it was left in really bad condition. So I know it can happen anywhere, I know it can happen anytime, but as Chief will tell you, we're seeing a lot more situations with drug abuse, and it can be left on the surface. So it just depends on what we can do to kind of curb that. I don't know that we can not offer a public bathroom being a public building.
I don't think we should anyway. I mean, especially if y'all have other facilities that you wanna use.
Yeah,
You don't have to use these.
right. Well, and like I said, this one's been out of commission, plus the one that's behind Robbins, we've actually had a plumber come in today to look at, because the toilet's got a problem there, so we just got some issues that need to be taken care of. If the hallway were to be closed, you know, they could access bathrooms from this side. You know, you can just instruct to come through the boardroom, and they can come into that area to go.
And
into
we
the
just lock
bathroom.
off our sign.
Yeah.
There is quite a bit of traffic, whether you have that sign there or not. There's quite a bit of traffic that people come in, and myself, Angel, you know, we're working on stuff all the time that doesn't need to have public eyes on it. And they stand there and look at you and look at what you're doing, and, you know, it's just,
But y'all got doors, you got locks on your doors.
Well, we do. It's those people, we just have situations sometimes where, a locked door doesn't always mean that you can't come into an office, and we've established what areas are public and which areas are not. But, you know, we try to be respectful that you are there to see someone. So a lot of times we're coming up front to see them, and I take people back in the office a lot, but it's knowing that who's in the building and what their intent is to be in the building. I think is probably what our main focus is right now.
Is it possible to police that bathroom in some way that like people, sign when they,
Use the damn bathroom?
I don't know, I'm just trying to come up with thoughts.
What do most city hall or town halls do in other areas? I mean, what's the protocol for safety?
A lot of them, we looked at that whenever we were looking at the design for the town hall building, and most of the people we heard back, they have, the lobby areas where people are, they're escorted into the areas that they're needing to be in. So, with the bathroom situation, we can definitely, once ours are back in operation, we can use them, and we can do that. But it's still the fact that someone coming behind them could potentially be exposed if, like I said a few months ago, that someone was bathing and has a history of using drugs at other locations that, could have left something for the public to be exposed to. So, just definitely concerned.
How many people do you get a day, a week, whatever?
It varies. I mean, I've not sat and counted them, but, all it takes is one, Does the bank have public restrooms? No.
We have some people who go back there, and we have experienced some of the same that you're talking about.
Do you have those concerns? I mean, do you question?
My staff does not like it when people come in and use the bathroom because you don't, and our concern with
Y'all have only one
the
bathroom there, right?
we only have one bathroom.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all we have is, but if people get back in there, then they've got too much access to behind the teller line to, so we don't advertise that we have bathrooms. There are just some people who know and they'll ask. But,
I mean, I think
And
we're,
the thing about it is, we have the doorbell. We can see just someone coming in the front door or this back door. But once they get over here, you don't know where they're at. You don't know if they're in these offices plundering around. You don't know if they're just casually roaming around looking.
so this is open all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
This.
Yes.
I mean, to me, if you're gonna block that, I think there needs to be more cameras, so you can see what's going on. I don't feel comfortable, and I've asked the girls if they're here by themselves, and there are times that, something happens and one of us might be, I lock this.
Well, I
give them
I mean,
access
I
to
think
this.
times are different, and I could see this being open all the time if, I don't know, because there is a lot of just, you never know
yeah.
what somebody's gonna,
Never have.
you don't ever know.
Well, you don't know if they're gonna go in there
But
and
it's-
crawl behind that desk and stay and.
Until
Okay, 3
everybody's
hours
gone
later,
but one
you
person.
forgot.
or-
I haven't come over here and checked these
Right.
rooms to see if someone remains in here overnight.
And see, that's,
There's all
back
kinds
to us, which, we're different, but we're a big building up there, but that's what we have to do every morning is the first person in, somebody's in the parking lot, somebody's in the building, you sweep that whole area in the offices, cause you don't know, did somebody stay in there last night? Cause when we're busy, could they go down the hall, get in one of those offices and be there for that first person who comes in?
Exactly.
And then, there you've got a bad situation.
Right. I
So-
just think, I personally think we need to consider the safety of our staff. Seriously.
So in terms of security, you're thinking some additional cameras.
Additional cameras, I really feel like there needs to be a door up there. Anybody can come back
When you
here
say
to our
door up
office
there, where do you mean?
at the front of the hall. At the front of the hall.
Up here,
Yes. I'm not saying someone can't come to our office. They need to be escorted to our office by us. They don't need to walk into our office freely.
And I don't disagree. I think that
Now, if you want them to have access to these bathrooms, that's perfectly fine. We lock the other side. We have a door up there that blocks off for our security.
So if y'all block that side, then can we open the doors to the parking lot?
you add cameras.
Well, that
Because
might be better to
The
come in.
the difference between the bank and this is a public building. There's a private, it's a private company. This is bought and paid for by the taxpayers.
Okay, so I've not been in the other county buildings. How freely can you roam? How much access do you have?
In the county?
other-
Yeah,
You can go in the
got
buildings. You can't go
Okay,
behind the
other
desk or anything.
municipalities, smaller municipalities. What do they have? I don't know. I'm not being smart about it. I'm just asking, what do they have?
And I don't know.
I don't know either. Wahlberg, you walk right in. Midway, you walk right in.
I've never been to any of those. I don't know.
Lexington, a little scared. I think they have an officer there, but you walk right in.
Yeah, at Lexington, you can access the main lobby, but going past the main lobby, you gotta get escorted back. Like they got a door that you can't even get past. It's got magnetic locks.
I mean, I've always been surprised that somebody could just walk in and walk all the way down the hall and get to whomever.
I think if you open the back door, then you've just reversed everything that we've tried to do to secure the building. I mean, that's my personal opinion. We have, we know now that people come in the front. The only person who comes in the back door outside of staff in town hall is Chief, because he has a key to it. So when I hear the door, I know it's him coming in the door. It's just, we're just more aware of our situation, we're more aware, trying to be more aware of who and is where and how they're getting into the areas that are not necessarily for everyone. This is what we're saying, but.
It just looks odd, I guess, because of the time when the building was built, that the parking lot's in the back and you can't get into it. You have to come around the front, and if the dentist has a good day, then you've got 1 or 2 parking places out front.
For the most part, everyone, I mean, we've been this way since 2020, and most everybody knows that that's the way it is now. You'll get a few people who are new or visitors or something like that, and they'll park in the back and walk around. For most people, I feel like everybody has gotten used to using the front for their access to the building.
You know, speaking on the cameras, just like we have it, I was Larry Furr before I come here, and that security company that installs all them cameras, commercial cameras and all that, was over there getting gas at Larry Furr's, and I spoke to him about coming to the water plant, giving us a quote on the camera system at the water plant. And I mentioned to him that the cameras in the park had been giving some trouble in town hall.
What
Yeah.
company was it?
The E something,
That's exactly
Larry.
who we use.
ESC.
They will not come and they will not service.
yeah, we'll see if we can make it or not.
They've been coming since last August.
Trouble because that's his exit over that locked door. I think we will.
Unless you got a push bar or something.
Yeah. That it says exit over that locked
So
door.
fire is, right.
Yep.
And
We
the
will.
door,
We will. I know. I know.
the door, you can go out that way,
Yeah.
right?
You
That,
go out that way.
it's
And
always,
like this this door would be unlocked. So what she's proposing is that these 2 doors will stay unlocked so they could potentially go into the bathrooms if needed or come into the museum. We have a lot of people who come throughout the day and look at the museum. But our side, the hallway would not be open on our side.
so lock your door, add an additional door for security cameras, is what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking for.
And then part of that is the upgrade of cameras, but
Okay.
that's at locations across town too.
If we're gonna do some camera work, let's do some, if we hit about 4 intersections in town, if anybody does anything, we're gonna have it right there. Right, Chief?
Oh, yeah.
And I would say we had, Captain Shear was, looking at some cameras. He was not able, the gentleman that was gonna demo them, he sent the camera and then never followed through. We couldn't ever get him to come in and do the demo for us. Because they do have some camera systems now, but you just gotta have access to, someone's Wi-Fi. There's an agreement they can do just to give you access to run your camera. So it is an option that we can do. I think our 4 main intersections would be great. But then also, 2 of the cameras that the last installed at Harrison Park are not good quality. They were through this company Michael talked to, and
Is the other one's the one I give Ryan Sheard his phone number that does the mobile police surveillance and
no,
industrial
that one's
cameras?
recent, and then he's been out sick, so we had
Yeah,
followed up.
we got him coming to the water plant to price him
So
too.
we can check with this other company, but the gentleman that Michael just talked to is who our current service is, and we have not had good service from them, so.
Do you need anything in here, like when y'all were working, if somebody's in here, just
I
to
think
make
it'll be
sure
good.
nobody's hiding out?
I think it'll be good for us to have cameras in here, but, you know, in thinking, you don't wanna put too much in, depending on what the needs would be for future, once the police department's moved over. But you never know when someone could come in and go, you know, I'd really like to have that picture over there, and shove it under their
Yeah.
coat and take it out the door.
I mean, I was thinking of some of the stuff in here, you know, that people could just walk off with.
Yeah,
And can those doors, can we not lock, keep those doors locked?
they're normally shut. We were working on some stuff in there today. That one has a key that locks. I'm not sure about the mayor's office, so we can check
If
on
it doesn't, I mean, that'd be simple to add a lock.
Yeah, how much are keys? It's about $14.
Yeah.
it. Yeah, so we could definitely look at that, so.
Going on, Civic Center upgrades, we've been down there looking around, seeing how we can improve some areas. Bathrooms really needed some work, and we were having a gentleman look at those now and do some upgrades to some of those, because they're either not functioning or
Bathrooms are not functioning?
like they'll be running.
Get some of the stuff fixed.
Huh?
Why don't we get some of the stuff fixed?
We are. That right there is already being in the works, but, you know, just, if there's any future stuff that we might need to add to that.
What kind of upgrades are you talking about in the bathroom?
Well, the urinal, I had him remove that urinal today because that whole wall looks like it's been peed on for years, and the molding and the, whatever's behind it, is black and just kind of bubbled and cracked up and so forth. But the toilets, the inner working of the toilets, and one of them needed to be replaced, he said, because it was older. And by the time you start replacing parts and stuff like that, then you start adding up and you can replace it for new. So
It seems like about 10 or 12 years ago, but time has a way of getting by me. Larry Carrot did a remodel in there.
And several years ago.
Several, okay.
So we did, within the time that I've been here, we did a drop ceiling and we resurfaced the flooring, and we
So the
did
bathrooms
that
are longer.
So the bathrooms have been a while, but a lot of this, they, like one stall would go out, and so they just wouldn't report it. They had a working stall, so Paul and I were down there last week and we realized that half the bathroom's not working and molding's rotted, and
So, I mean, actually, we are going ahead and working on that to get that taken care of.
Okay.
Does the basement still flood?
No, we're gonna stop the rain.
yeah.
So
We
it don't
did
flood
have
like
some-
it used to?
We found out it comes out in the creek behind the propane tank, and we took the jetter and jetted all the roots and dirt out of it. We got it where it drains in there.
Yeah.
We are gonna have to replace the basement door. Someone has kicked in the bottom of it and tried to break into the door. We found that today. When we were there last week, the door had not been knocked in at the bottom, but today Michael and I saw that it was,
Yeah,
so
that's
he's gonna
the
have to
problem.
replace it, and he
Yeah.
just replaced it within the last year. So.
I signed that thing, Miss Dean.
Which
Yeah,
that,
I've got a quote. I'm quoting.
Okay.
but that again may be somewhere we want to consider putting cameras.
Oh, yeah.
You know, our civic center doesn't have any, so
The blinds look good.
the blinds do look good. They really do.
I've worked with Davison County, the senior services, to make some changes there to kind of take down some of the excess stuff that they've got up. And they had 2 card tables there with literature on it, so she's got a really nice rolling stand that can be pushed against the wall. And they're also taking some of their stuff that they leave coolers and whatnot out and putting them in the kitchen during the weekends, because we do have parties there, not every weekend, but some, and that way their stuff's not being messed with. and so forth. So we've tried to work with them really well to try to get that a happy medium in that aspect of it. We're having the trash cans emptied every Monday because with AA meeting there on Friday nights, and if you have a party over the weekend, the trash cans get full, and then on Monday morning, she doesn't have a place to put trash, so we're working through all of those issues.
That's a historic building.
And if we do spend some real money on bathrooms, we have gone to the county in the past and asked for money and they helped on it. Because they only pay, just utilities for the seniors center, which is cheap to them. And where we've done major upgrades, we went to them and they partnered with us 50-50 or whatever.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
General Fox was there anyway.
It looks like it's time to do some upgrades to the current Microsoft that we have, just bringing it more up to date. And we've listed additional cost for that. Tavis would be, Angel had reached out to him to see what was necessary there, and he felt like we would be very beneficial for us to move forward to the Microsoft 365. And this would, be for all departments. Our departments have, we're across the board with our email usage, is that right? So, all the full-time staff has emails. Ms. Whitman had recommended that the board members have a town email to best comply with open records requirements. And I truthfully feel like that's a really good thing, because you think about it, if anything needed to be pulled, they would have to, potentially access your personal email, and I wouldn't want that myself. So.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody that works for the school system, and they said, "You mean you don't have a town email?" And I said, "Well, I've got one that I just use for the town," but they said that like you said, if for some reason emails were subpoenaed, they would have access to all your emails.
So I would think that, everybody would want that person in it. Okay, and then just, getting an additional license for Adobe VC, and that's basically just, right now, I think we have 2 licenses, or is it just one and it's shared?
So a lot of the state reports come in now, and anything that's Adobe comes in. To be able to edit that PDF file, you have to have Adobe, I think it's DC. And so our license gives us free access, and we're all bumping each other off because there's 4 of us. So it is kind of aggravating.
And that's very inexpensive per month. And the next sheets just break out usage per person per month on each of those, and gives them outline of what's included in the Microsoft 365 and so forth.
And I will say that with the Microsoft 365, the standard, it has a new app called Microsoft Loop, which would be the software that we've talked about, having interconnection with everyone so we can do projects and things. It's new. I had asked Tavis to look into it for us, and he said he didn't know a lot about it because it's a new program that they offer, but it would be part of our everyday use package.
Are you looking at the standard?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be standard for those who need access to using the Microsoft programs, but anyone that's just email, I think you can get just an email account and then not have to have all the other programs. So some may be 6, some may be 12.
And just to state, we have been looking into that. I know that was mentioned several months ago as far as having something to push out to you guys. And Angel has tried multiple scenarios to see what's going to work best. So it's not something we've forgotten. It's a process to, let's try this, see if this works. And, you might like part of it, the other part of the job. So just to let you know that we've not forgotten about that. And I'm done talking.
We'll walk over here and get me a cookie before the police.
Chief, you're up next.
Okay. The first item I have is, letting you know what vehicles we currently have in our fleet, the year and the mileage, and who those vehicles are assigned to or who they will be assigned to. And as you know, you gave us the 7th position, and when that 7th position comes to be, we won't have enough vehicles. So because of that, I have requested another vehicle, and you see the total cost of that vehicle. Depending on which one that we pick, you see a white 2024 Ford all-wheel drive SUV, and you also see a Dodge Durango quoted. I think the Ford was $55,281. That includes upfitting the vehicle. White Dodge Durango all-wheel drive with V8 Hemi is $56,396 with all the equipment. And we would need an additional radio. Kenwood is cheaper than Motorola. We bought 2 of those recently, and they're running about $2,700 for that mobile radio. So hopefully we would have funding for at least one vehicle. In the event I keep the Tahoe, thinking that the transmission might go out down the road, it's got 106,000 miles. Then Angel and I have talked, and I have added some to the maintenance in the event that were to happen. So just FYI on that. Hopefully it'll run 200,000 miles. But I wish I could predict that, but I cannot. Currently, we only have 3 police rifles. Captain Chair has actually been using his own rifle. So in my view, we need 3 more rifles. Once we get fully staffed, I don't think I need a rifle. The one that I currently have in my vehicle, I would pass down. And we actually quoted 2 rifles. We quoted the Delton and also the FN rifle. You can see the FN, it's top of the line. And the mayor probably knows more about those than I do, but that one with the green dot sights, 3 of those is $5,030.85. 3 of the Delton Echo rifles with a similar sight, not quite as sophisticated, bring us to $3,048. I think the longevity of the FN is going to be a little greater. It's a little higher grade, but if funding is not available, I think we could definitely do with the Delton. I think the one that's currently in the Tahoe is a Delton.
Aren't those sights the one that all the officers are wanting?
Yes. Yeah, we currently just have the iron sights. You know, this day and time for accuracy, and you look at what happened just outside of Denton with the guy that was pretty much doing suicide by cotton. I think that pointed out the need for everybody to have a rifle in the event we encounter someone like him. Again, hopefully we won't, but chances are we very well could.
And I guess the guns we traded in, that could come off these. Is that part of it, or?
Yes, and those guns are still here. The guy stopped by and he was headed somewhere way down east. He said, I'm full of guns. I've got all I can lock in my vehicle now. So he still hasn't took those. I did get a quote from another company just from the confiscated weapons, and they were only going to give us $770 for those. The Glock guy stopped by and he estimated $200 to $225 for those old Glock pistols we've got. So we would have some revenue to put towards the purchase of those or any other item. We currently only have 4 less lethal shotguns. We went away from the regular shotguns and went to the ones that shoot bean bags that you see in the PowerPoint slide that are orange and say less lethal. They can kill someone, but the goal is that they would not, that they would stop the individual. Of course, we don't use those if there's one officer by himself. We don't use less lethal. There's got to be at least 2 officers there for us to do that. The area we shoot the individual in is where we hope it would not cause death or even serious injury, but we do realize that that is still a possibility. If we got 3 of those and they're actually Remington 870 shotguns converted to the less lethal, we're looking at $1,744.64. We're one of the few agencies left that still unlocks vehicles for citizens. We did one yesterday at the post office. She'd lock her keys in the car. They were in the ignition switch. We may do 3 a week. We may wait a month and not do one. And then we'll do 2 or 3 more. I think the citizens like that service. We get them to sign a form where if we damage the vehicle, we're not liable. Most people don't have a problem signing that form. But we do need a couple more lockout kits, and 2 of those is $138.10. You see pictured in the next slide the alpha sensor that we use. We need 2 more of those. If we get new ones, they're $420 a piece, which would cost us $840 for 2. That way we would be able to put those in the 2 vehicles that we recently acquired. And again, the one I have in my vehicle, once we get fully staffed, I would be fine with that going to a police officer. We do not have enough mobile data terminals for the police cars. We need 2 more. The lowest quote that I got for those, I saw 2 quotes. One was almost $6,000, and the one that's lowest is $4,989.80 for 2 of the rugged Panasonic laptops. Not an absolute necessity, but as we have more vehicles, if we want to be equipped where we can stop a vehicle that's eluding a police officer from a chase, then we would need more stop sticks. I'm recommending we purchase 2 of those, and same thing if we get our 7 people, which I'm determined we're going to do, then I would give the stop sticks that I have, pass one of those down to a police officer, and then we would need 2 more where all the folks working the road would have stop sticks available to deploy. The other thing that I thought, since I did this PowerPoint, that we need is a window tint meter. I think I can purchase that with the funds that we currently have left over, and I will say that we have saved a lot of money this year, not on purpose, but because Captain Sher and I have worked a lot of hours, took a lot of calls to avoid paying an outside agency a rate that I thought was way too high. So I say that to say that there's some lapsed salary money. So we may have the ability, and I've discussed it with the town manager, if it's better for the entire town, maybe we could expend some of those funds, or either move it to the general fund and then move it to this budget year for whatever needs you folks have. But Captain Sher and I talked about it, and we just didn't feel good about spending tax dollars at the rate they wanted to charge us when they weren't even going to do a report. So to me, that was unfair, and I applaud him for stepping up, working the extra hours so we didn't have to do that. Goal is we're going to get filled up. We're going to have people we need to cover 24 hours, and things are getting better already. I sent paperwork for the last hire to Raleigh, and they're telling me 5 to 7 weeks before we'll get that paperwork back.
which is ridiculous. As bad as we need police officers throughout the state, that we can do better than that. And I think the General Assembly's got involved. They put some more folks in positions there, but maybe they're not trained or maybe they're not hired. I don't know what the problem is, but still 5 to 7 week turnaround unless the director agrees that he feels sorry for us and he's gonna help us and push it to the top of the stack, which maybe he'll do. Of course, the other issue is, at one time I was training 2 people at once. That's sort of hard to do. Still training Officer Myers. Once we get her out, we'll be ready. And our prayers are that Ryan gets well, he can come back and he can train Officer Jamal, but we don't know what the future is there. But we're glad to answer any questions you might have about anything that I've included here in our needs.
Chief, has everybody got tasers?
No, you can't actually get the taser that we carry. I checked with Taser, they don't make them anymore. They want you to go to a Taser 10. They want to put you on a 5-year payment plan. One option is to try to find an agency that's got rid of those and gone to the 10. There are companies out there that sell used tasers. I don't want them to be able to have control of us for 5 years and have to have their software. So to me, I'm a proponent of keeping the old as long as we can get parts for them and not playing the taser game. They're not cheap, the taser 10s, and everything that they do at Axon now, they want to roll it into a 5-year plan where they're sucking your tax dollars out for 5 years. And I don't particularly like the way they do that. Ryan and I talked, and once we get full, I would be glad to give my taser to an officer. Hopefully things don't get bad enough in the office, I'm gonna need one.
Mayor, get out of hand.
Yeah, right. But I think we can find some used ones at a cheaper price and not be locked into their game. They make a good product, but unless you're a large agency with a lot of tax dollars to spend, I'm not a proponent of going that route. To me, and we don't deploy the taser that often, but it's one of those things when you've got an officer by themselves, especially if they're a smaller officer like we have now. She's got comments from people, you're really small. One of these days, somebody's probably going to try her, and I think the taser will protect her, and maybe people will see that taser and not try to assault any officer or try to call their hand. So that's where our goal is anyway.
Any other questions for Chief? Randall?
Mayor, Commissioners, appreciate you taking your time out. I've prepared a budget for your consideration. This is what it is. One of the main things that we're asking for, it's not not really a whole lot. You will see office supplies had to increase. I'm asking to upgrade our office desktop computer in the office, about like Town Hall. It was last purchased in 2017, 2018, so it's wearing out and running out of space. In doing so, I did not get the invoice or the quote back from Tavis, so I just basically estimated it at $2,500 for the desktop, and I'm also asking for a laptop for the fire chief to use. I currently use my own personal laptop at home doing fire department business, so I also included a laptop at the same price. Next up, our Our departmental supplies, it increased as well. And talking with Angel and Paula, trying to get a figure of what actually comes out of that departmental supplies. A lot of it was some cleaning and toiletry stuff, just basic everyday things that we would use around the department. We don't really have a line item or something other than maintenance and repair of equipment to purchase like some newer equipment or to replace some outdated equipment. So I added a little bit there, took it from $5,000 to a $10,000 line item, just for that. Moving on down, our dues and subscriptions, it increased on dues. So currently we are paying 6 things out of dues and subscriptions. And it's roughly in the neighborhood of $6,000 to $7,000 a year for that. One of the biggest expenditure is the department or Madison County fraternal benefits. So when a member in the fraternal benefits passes away, our department, every department in the county is a part of that. We all write a check for each member. It's based off our roster number. So over the years, we've kind of increased this. We're up to 34 members at the fire department, and every time there's a death, it costs us $108. They went from doing this that basically you could get 2 or 3 a week. So the county has realized that we're wearing out the guys and women that's preparing checks and paying out these fees. So they did it quarterly. I believe we've had 2 quarters that we've had to pay this out, and both times it's been over $1,000. So roughly, it's about $4,000 a year that we're paying for the fraternal benefits. But I'm also requesting a new software subscription. It's in your packet of the budget request. It would be labeled Target Solutions at the top. And this right here, you'll see it's estimated for a 3-year commitment of $11,825. So basically, we break that down over a 3-year period, and it comes out to $39.41.67. This program would allow us to offer online training to every member of the agency, and not only will it allow them to have access online material at home, but it would also allow me and the training officer to keep better records for our ISO. Currently, we're using pen and paper, and at the end of the year, you've got to sit through, tally everything up, and then put it where it's supposed to go. So if it was driver's training or fire service training, like we're having to manually go through each individual training report and put it where it's supposed to go, tally up those numbers. So it will help us in the ISO OSFM training requirements. Again, it's pricey, but I believe it would be a huge benefit for us just for keeping it more tracked easier and less work on the backside trying to figure out who didn't get hours and who did get hours. Currently, we're having to maintain at least a minimum of 15 people to get their training hours per year. That's ISO and OSFM standard requirement. And this right here would just allow our membership to, have that training at their fingertips. They can do it at home, take an online hour class, and it'll pop it right in their training bank, and it's there. So that $4,000 being included into the dues and subscription brings that line item to $11,000 total. Fire calls would go, currently we are at $11 per call. Looking to go to 12 just to help try to bring some membership, making sure that we're still putting enough people and, out on the emergencies. So we figured we'd have an increase in that as well. Our capital outlay is included. It's on the budget request. It's actually not labeled, so it'd be the one that's blank. I forgot to label it, but it's estimated cost of $18,000. That way, again, every year we apply for the state grant. We applied for it this year as well. But in the event that we do not get the funds for the state grant, budgeting this would allow us to at least purchase 3 sets of turnout gear. Again, we still, we put on several new members this past year that's either wearing gear that's fixing to go out of date, or they're already wearing some out of date stuff that's not interior. So we would definitely need to hopefully get the state grant, but if not, we do have a backup in there to at least get 3 sets of turnout gear if we get approved on our budget. You'll see the state grant is there. I did not include it in the budget just to try to keep our overall budget needs down. In years past, we have included it, but we chose to, if we are awarded the grant, we would accept the grant funding at a special meeting and process it that way. So that's why it's not actually included in the proposed budget. Again, it's for $78,780. This grant would go to purchasing 6 sets of turnout gear, also update 10 portable radios to the Phase 2 standard that's coming out in 2025, and purchase a mobile radio. I have that listed in the back. There's some information on the radios that we're looking at. Again, they, like the chief of police, we use the Kenwood Viking radio series, as it is a whole lot cheaper than the Motorola. You're paying a lot for the name when you go to Motorola. Also attached the turnout gear that we currently use. It's made by Line, Super Deluxe, and it just has some features that it offers. The last thing is I asked for an increase to the fire chief's salary. The last time the fire chief's salary was increased was 2018. We have since then employed a part-time staff of 3 members during the day. The part-time staff has grown to a total of 8 total. So the fire chief is responsible for the staffing, setting the schedule, and everything that goes on over at the building. So I asked for an increase of 10%, which would be, I believe, $677.26. So that would bring a total expenditure proposal of $319,915. We still have our fire truck debt that's currently the second highest thing that we're paying for. Like I said, we did apply for the state grant this year, and we also applied on the FEMA grant for the air packs that we requested last year. We went ahead and applied for a FEMA grant. In doing so, we are seeking $253,000 $262 in FEMA assistance. If awarded that grant, we would be responsible for $12,060.10. So it's a 95-5. We would be responsible for 5% of the grant funding, and that will include 23 SCBA's, 34 masks, and 46 air bottles. So it would completely upfit everything that we have over there. With the packs that we have, we would list those surplus amount, list them on GovDeals, because we would not have a place to store a total of 46 air packs and everything else. So we would definitely, if awarded the FEMA grant, we would get rid of what we currently have and replace. Anybody's got any questions?
Just one for me, looking at, so are those figures right on the front, what the current budget is, and it's going down for 24, 25?
Yes,
that-
last year.
On the capital outlay?
Capital outlay included the state grant, and plus we, had, I believe, 5 or 6 backpacks for the SCBA's. But in talking with Angel, with us applying for the FEMA grant this go around, and it, having 23 packs on it, if we was awarded the FEMA grant, we would have 23 air packs coming. So we would, we didn't really see why we would go ahead and buy 6 because.
Yeah, okay.
So that's why we didn't add it.
You don't see that much.
Yeah.
Is that one?
And it is in the capital outlay where it makes that difference.
Yeah.
And that one's fluctuates depending on what the needs are for the department.
But if the state gets state grant, then it will go up.
Yeah, if the state grant goes in and the FEMA grant goes in, it would definitely increase because we would accept the funds coming in for the fire department to use.
And then allocate them out.
Yeah.
And that software, after 3 years, you gotta re-up it,
You
like
you would re-up it or lose it, basically. We use the same software at Lexington. That's where it come from. There's multiple departments around that use it. But also, while I am speaking, currently serving on a truck committee at the city of Lexington, specking out a new fire truck for them. We have talked to 4 or 5, I think it's 5, fire department manufacturers. Usually when we pay off a truck, we go right back into making payments. Our truck payoff, I believe, is 2027, if I remember correctly. So the trucks now are about 3 to 3.5 years out from the time that you bring in the truck sales rep, spec out the truck, sign the contract, it goes to the manufacturer to be built. You will not accept delivery until 3 to 3.5 years away. So we will be all over that 2027 mark, probably a little bit behind the 27 mark. But the last truck that we purchased was $538,000, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. Everybody that we have talked to is now saying 850 to 1.1 or 1.2 million for a fire engine. That is ladder truck numbers. We just purchased a ladder truck at Lexington that was $1.2 million in 2021. So something for y'all to think about going forward. And again, it's going to be 3 years, 3.5 years before we ever even see it come in. So I don't know if we need to start the process or what what would y'all recommend us doing?
Nathan's not here, is he?
He would not be happy.
Well, we've always in the past bought one when this was paid off, but sometimes we push it out a year.
Yeah.
And I would say we need to stay pretty well on that same plan. In my opinion.
Well, I mean, you have to have it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and it affects all of us, whether people realize it or not. It affects our insurance, it affects, you know, you gotta have everything.
And our insurance has gradually always gone down.
We definitely, do nothing except spend money. We don't bring any revenue. We know that we don't bring revenue
Put
in,
out with boots.
so.
Good plan.
Do what? Put them out with boots.
Yeah.
Well, you used to get your daughters a call when it's out of our district.
Y'all have any other questions for Chief? Brandon, thank you. Michael?
After we get last.
All I know is I really hope he gets his $3,000. I mean, it's been what, 4 months since he's gotten his last one, so let's make sure he gets his $3,000.
Yeah, don't he get a raise every time everybody Somebody, either he don't know or he's not getting
This big FEMA grant, if he gets it, we probably should get a raise on it.
But don't, but while we're talking about, don't he get a percentage when everybody else gets a percentage or not?
Yes, now, I'm not sure if you realize that, but the chief's salary, and we didn't used to do that, I think back a few years ago, we didn't increase the chief's salary on the annual increases for performance, but, I don't remember when we implemented it, but I've checked back and just made sure, but it is, part of that. So that's why he's at, I think it was started at 5,000 and then it went to 6,000.
Started at 3, I think.
So now it's like 6,600 or something, but over time it's not a lot, but it has increased. So.
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
It was there for a while.
First time I was chief, it was 3.
Yeah, it's come a long way.
Public Works is cheap. I'm telling you, as soon as he throws out that $1 million for a fire truck, my budget is nothing. The insurance people have been talking about a roof at Public Works. I've got the coating already purchased, and I talked to one guy. I gotta find a couple others to talk to, because I just thought it was crazy. It's 10,000 square foot on that roof, but he estimated $10,000 to put the coating out.
That
A
seems
dollar
cheap
a
to
foot.
me.
I mean, but that doesn't include product. So
No, we don't have the product.
Is that Dennis's figure or is that?
No, that's the ones that done Better Farms, Hazelwood. But I'm gonna do some checking, but worst case scenario, $10,000 to have that coating put on the roof. We was gonna do it ourselves, and then we found out Osha would probably come in and lock every one of us up, because we don't have the roof guards and all that stuff. But that's pretty self-explanatory.
What kind of coating is it? Just curious.
It's better than Cool Seal.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Is it
Lowe's had it,
elastomeric?
yeah, Lowe's had it on sale. The Hazelwood boy looked at it.
She don't
he
like to
said,
hear
"That's-
that.
Well, he said, I got this stuff at just a great price, and it's real good stuff. That's why I can't believe $10,000.
Is it white or silver?
We ain't opened any of it up.
Okay. That's just
I think it's white though.
Rolls on, don't spray on.
Mops, rolls, whatever you want to put it on.
We bought it last budget year.
Yeah. They had it on sale and I bought 2 pallets of it, enough to do the roof.
Gosh, I'd love to sell you 2 pounds.
The engines, they was on the last year's budget. I hadn't had time or luck to find anybody to actually check them yet. All I'm just asking for is put them back on this budget. So the money's there. If I can, I don't know. I just need it back on this budget. The vac truck, same thing. I put a little on this budget to have it repaired. I had a salesman come look at it, and he's trying to work in a time where he ain't gonna have it for a month, because this is only truck we have to clean sewers now. But the truck's gonna have to be repaired. So I cannot give you a price on what it's gonna cost to repair it, because they hadn't took it to the service center to check it and tell me what's even wrong with it. It still works, it still functions. It's just a couple of the solenoids are sticking, and I don't think it's gonna be a whole lot, but just keep that in the back of your mind that that truck's gotta be repaired. The dump truck I'm buying on this year's budget, we got the money for it. The bucket truck I'll need budgeted next year. I know I've looked, and I think Scotty's looked at a few of them. Them smaller bucket trucks are high, and the price reflects what year you want to buy. I mean, you can spend $30,000, you can spend $100,000. And we're just gonna have to, we don't use one a whole lot, but we have to have one because the rental cost on them is astronomical, and we gotta go way off to pick the thing up and take it back. And I'm gonna really try looking for a bucket truck next year. The hydrant replacement, I talked to Brandon about it. He knows of one hydrant that needs to be pulled out of the ground and replaced. That's the same price, $2,500, $3,000. But what he really wants is the Storks fittings installed on the hydrants that we have in the ground now. And that's at a cost of $350 per hydrant for a fitting. And then I gotta spend $1,500 for the two tools to take the old fitting out and put the new fitting in. So that's gonna be based on just how many of them you wanna do a year.
It'll be hard for a little while.
Well, I mean, I think it hooks to their all their new gear and tools and stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, $350 is a whole lot cheaper than putting new hydrants in the ground.
How many got in city limits? 50?
Hydrants,
Yeah.
134.
Yeah, I start saying well over 100. I mean, if you do a third, a quarter,
167 districts wide.
a fifth or a quarter every budget year, we can get them done.
So the old handies are not like that, old Brandon.
134.
Right.
Handies are not like that. They don't have a short period, do they?
No, they're the same as what
And
we.
Healing Springs, they need ours down Healing Springs way. I mean, I figure if you do 25 of them a year, it's gonna take you 5 years to get them done. So that's kind of what I was trying to look at about 25 of them.
My thing on that was just kind of starting in the downtown business district where the bigger buildings was, just make it a little bit easier to connect that hydrant.
But your new ones you're putting in are like that.
Yes. The capital outlay, I mean, everything I do on it's gonna really, fall on grants, and we're trying to talk to some new grant writers. And all that includes is valves, water lines, sewer line eye. We need to replace that line to the sewer plant. And radio read meters. God, I hope we get somewhere on that pretty quick. It's killing.
Amen.
It's killing, it's
Let
killing.
me ask for a couple.
Yeah, I'm waiting on the second one to come back from, Master Meters, is that the name of them? Yeah, so hopefully have that by the next meeting so we can at least do a price compare on those.
The valve replacement program, we kind of need to stay on it, especially with these drop-in valves where we do not have any control whatsoever.
Are we exercising those valves?
When we get them in,
That'll be a no, right?
that's probably a no most of the time. When we have water leaks, we exercise them good. But on a scheduled rotation, it's same as exercising hydrants, exercising valves, going around painting valve boxes. We just ain't had the staff. I mean, it's gotta be done, but we just ain't had the staff.
Yeah, because of the body smoking.
And then, we're gonna have to replace the service truck. If you look to your left, that's the one we have now.
Ann asked me if that was the truth.
That's not real, is it?
This is a used fireman's right here. I figured Brandon might have one of them hit surplus. But no. But that thing's got way over 100,000 miles on it. The transmission's going out of it, and something's we won't run but like 42 miles an hour, and that's holding it to the floor. Totes a lot of weight, totes a lot of tools. It runs a long time. Every time we have a leak or anything, it don't get cut off.
I didn't find nothing about that.
Yep, we got a good deal on that one. It's lasted a long time, but like I say, depends on model year is what the cost is gonna be. And the 3,500 is a little light.
That's got,
We'll talk to Chairman Yates, see if we can get one from the county for $1.
yes, sir.
Well, if you do, we need a 450.
Oh, yeah, let's be
Specifically asked.
particular what we want.
Well, the 3,500 that we have now, if you look at the way it's toting, the leaf springs are actually bent the opposite way they're supposed to be bent. The suspension under it is not heavy enough to tote everything the truck's toting. So we need to kind of go up one truck size. Automotive equipment and supplies, all that stuff is going through the roof, as y'all know. My oil, it's hitting like $20 a gallon for diesel oil. Tires is going up. That's just a pretty good estimate of what I think they might end up being next year. But we gotta have tires, we gotta have tracks, and we gotta change them. So, and I don't know who done that math, 110 gallons, $20 a gallon is not $3,700. That's about 185 gallons. But, I mean, the generators, the trucks, the tractors, all the equipment, everything takes oil and filters. It's getting pricey. And I didn't even put the filters on here because.
I think on your, what you sent in, that you had it all
Yeah.
together, and you were thinking, estimating at 3,700 to be oil, filters, and what you needed to do that.
Yeah.
So, looking at an increase of 3,700.
Yeah, that's what we was talking about, cost of running town's going up, fuel, it's going up, pipe and fittings, they're astronomical. Centers I was given $75 for 2 years ago, they're $350 now. Meters, it was $45, they're $100 and something now. Every time they change something in the copper and brass rules, they have to take more lead out. The purer the brass is, the higher everything's gonna get. And I mean, I recommend a 20% increase on everything I buy, as far as pipe supplies and all that, just to be safe. I need some safety cones. That girl called me. She's got a bunch of balloons on sale.
She always
I'm sure the
calls
fire is
budget.
out. I'm sure the police is out.
She
I'm sure
always-
every one of us is out of safety cones. People collecting things.
She always calls it budget time. She's smart.
But they got a bunch of blends right now, and we can pick them up pretty cheap. And the one slide I meant to add on here, I forgot, was tools. Some good night work lights. I looked at them fancy when he's got for the fire department, but I don't think Public Works can afford the fire department work lights.
No, it works about a day or two, be broke.
Really? Yeah. Well,
Y'all
the battery.
yeah.
We need some good night work lights. And,
How about some lights on the truck, so when you're out at night, people can see you?
well, if we get a new service truck, it should come with that. I stole a bunch of the strobes from the police department a while back. That the old ones they
That's
took
where
off.
they
I just gotta get them put on.
They look good on the box.
Borrowed some from the police department.
I'm really impressed with-
Reallocated. That's
with your-
pretty- That's the-
Do what?
I'm really impressed with your, presentation.
Elizabeth done this. I was really impressed with her too. She did a lot better than I am.
Now, in all honesty,
$60
Michael
a
did have all the slides together. She
Yeah,
just
yeah.
made it
But hers sure
attractive.
looked better.
So. I think staff's a little jealous of Elizabeth's handiwork. So,
I think that was everything for the front and back of this bill. Yeah.
Do you have your
And,
copy of the,
I think Town Hall wants to do some sidewalks.
Well, we haven't done that in 15 years.
thank you.
Well, yeah.
We have it on the agenda all the time.
Got my look per year, we run 3 people.
We
I
have
mean,
a
with all
staff
those
plan.
uptown, down by the bank, around.
Yeah, but then we had 8 people.
So
I mean, it's a lot. I told them, once we start on these sidewalks, all this other stuff's gonna have to stop, because you cannot stop pouring concrete. You have to go to a point and then you can stop. You can't start pouring concrete and just stop.
All these are just maintaining them, there's no new ones.
No,
right?
these are all ripped up and redone. There's no maintaining this mess. They're busted all.
But I
to pieces.
mean, there's no totally new ones. This is just maintenance of what we got in the ground.
Well, I'm gonna have to rip it up, raise the curbing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Redo the
It's
drain.
not any new places, it's going back. to
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they were
all going
existing.
back, but see, it's gonna take a long time to do a couple of them because you can't pour a sidewalk like this, like they are now. It's either gonna have to get dropped down the building, which they ain't gonna like because there'll be a step up into their business, or it's going to be formed and sloped like a ramp going into their door. And I'm gonna have to follow all the handicap guidelines on the pitch and all that stuff, and some of them I'm gonna have to raise the street curbing up because it's non-existent. They even have something to pour a sidewalk to. So this is real rough on the yardage figure, but it's close. And I mean, that's just concrete. That ain't forming boards, that ain't gravel, that's nothing else. That's just concrete.
And to be honest, the 5 locations are just the worst. There are
Yep.
several other in town that need to be done, but
It's-
as Michael stated,
And some of them we can't even do all of them at one time in front of business. We have to do half, get it cured, finished, forms ripped up, everything ready for people to walk on it, and then go do the other half. But this is gonna take a little time, but I mean, it's just pouring concrete. So.
How do you fix MA pickets? How do you fix that when it's that high?
That's what I mean. It's, they poured a sidewalk on top of sidewalk.
Right.
I started to say it was layered and layered.
You're either gonna have to make a ramp or step coming out of business and drop it back down where it needs to be on curb level. Or people's gonna open their car door and hit the daggone curb because it's
Right, yeah,
putting
that's
half eye
happening
off the
now.
road.
Do that now.
yeah, they do that now.
So all that's going to be ripped out and refigured and reformed and repoured. It's going to take a little time,
That'll be a lot.
a lot of time. Pickett's is one of the worst ones. And up there in front of Diane's Jewelry is the same way.
What
And
about
it'll-
Canner shoes? Getting that in?
Canners are going to be flat. It's going to be easy.
Yeah, okay.
Vegas. Oh,
Lanier's, that's the one that sits there like this now. It needs to be leveled out some. But I mean, it's just time consuming. There ain't no problem doing it. It's just time consuming.
That was the whole church. I wonder when they did lay that, because that's been around.
Long time.
And that's pretty much it for my budget, and my usual budget, you know, the average running everyday stuff and cost of pipe.
And Michael did ask that if we do this, that they like do it in the fall where it's not too cold but not 95 degrees and.
Well, I mean, we'll do it when we get time, but, I mean, we can do it in the summer, they shade it with Lanier and places like that, but the cooler, you got more time to work concrete when it ain't so hot.
Any questions for Michael?
Do what?
Any other questions?
The camo truck still running?
Luckily, we didn't have to use it this year, but it still runs, yeah.
Good.
Camos for snow, for those that don't
Yeah, that's the
know.
only time we use it.
I know it's sad.
All right, Jason.
Seen it in years.
Thank you guys for your time. Just kind of a lot of things that are on here, we're not, like Michael said, looking to get some grant funding for it. We're still struggling with some things, some that are pretty critical. There's more, found out again recently, there's more rules coming down that are going to impact us to stay compliant. And some of this will help with that. Along with, just like everything else, lab and chemical supplies are going up, chemicals especially, but even like, a lot of times what's not thought about is all the reagents that we have to use to do each sample. You gotta pour like a powder or something in there to get the water to react to test it. Some of those have gone up to 25 cents a packet. And you're doing, 4 tests every 2 hours just on that one reagent. So, back, 5 to 4 years ago, it used to be like 5 cents a packet, but I think now it's gone up, 27 cents per packet. So little things like that, the laboratory reagents and chemicals are going up 20% a year, it seems like lately. One of the things that we're struggling with is the same thing as the smaller basins. We've looked into different things. We came down to looking into putting in some plate settlers. What that does is we've had to run the water faster because the handies want more through the basins. That the flock and the mud and organics in the water getting over into the filters and then binding them up and just causing extra stress on them. But these plate settlers will help keep that out and not help prevent it to get to the filters. Get the sludge out and keep getting the filters, and that'll help save money with cost of filters. We got some issues with pumps, the raw water pump still, it's kind of iffy at times. Got Underwood coming out here soon, he's gonna put the finished water pump in, so hopefully that'll help by this summer to keep up with demand.
That's your big pump.
The big pump, yeah.
Really? You gonna turn it on once in a while?
We're gonna have to, the two little pumps.
We will this summer, we're already, 2 pumps aren't even keeping up now, even just the past 2 days, we've had them running full force, and I'm not sure what Handy's doing, but they're using a lot of water, and I can't imagine what's coming this summer, they're already doing that now. This one slide has a breakdown of the chemicals, the main ones that we use, that we have to use, the cost of what they were last year, and the estimated cost of what they may go up to this year. We'll get to SCADA here in a second. We just finished up the first build of SCADA. It's in, it's monitoring, it's recording. The next kind of build, we'll start pasting the chemical feed pumps based on the flow coming in and what's needed, so that'll save money on chemicals, and we won't be overfeeding chemicals. Pretty much just wasting money out for the cost of chemicals. So that's coming up for the next SCADA upgrade. Like I said, the first one just got completed yesterday, and it all the guts and brains, it's monitoring, recording. The operators are pretty happy with what's there now. The next few slides, the building is literally falling apart. I got some pictures over here to see. In the back side, one of the main support walls in the chemical feed room kind of came apart and split. So that chemical feed room is one of the biggest areas that we're going to focus on hopefully this coming year, where they've had the old bulk tanks, they've had chemical spills. The floors were just gone and chipped up, there's concrete chipping up, and then I guess the chemical went through that one support wall, and there's, you see like a gap, there's a pipe to get somebody to come out and look about getting that addressed. Redoing that whole chemical feed room probably would be good to look at. Putting all the pumps in the right place and just make sure the chemicals are getting where they got to without any breaks in the lines that we've had recently. Integrating all that will help get that room up to where we need to be.
On that wall, the self-contained that was Kent Construction, and they looked at the wall and looked at the plate settles and all. I was hoping he would give me kind of a running estimate on what this was gonna cost, but he ain't turned it in yet, so hopefully, right here in the next little bit, we should have y'all kind of a cost.
On which?
Yeah.
The chemical feed room,
Okay.
the wall, and then also those plate settlers.
Gotcha.
Yeah, some of these we haven't gotten numbers on yet. It's like they ran into having the contractors get back to us with quotes on how much the stuff's gonna be. Hopefully we can get some range on that. Something that it probably wouldn't take too much more than probably $200 is getting Wi-Fi repeaters kind of through the plant. No one really, different cell phone providers, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, I don't know if it's High Rock Mountain, but their cell reception down at the plant is pretty much non-existent, so we rely on the Wi-Fi now. But
It's not good.
yeah, but as soon as you walk out of the one room, the Wi-Fi is in, if your phone drops out if you're on a call or trying to take a call. But it's more of a safety aspect thing. We got Wi-Fi repeaters, and maybe put them in the lab, it would reach down into the chemical feed area where if somebody goes down there and has a trouble or has a situation, an emergency, they'd be able to reach out and call somebody.
Because our phones are actually voice over IP as well.
Yeah,
So they would pick up
landline.
for the.
But some Wi-Fi repeaters would kind of help them have their cell phones and be able to use them all throughout the plant.
And how much are they?
You can get repeaters for about $100 for one that would go through get through the basement.
Why don't you order them in the morning?
Yeah. Probably get them
Don't
put
y'all
them upstairs by the lab.
I mean, that goes to me.
Yeah.
My gosh, get that thing.
We'll see. So some of the pictures you can see, we talked about this, the major parts of the chemical feed room is our biggest building, green that things. That's the outside wall there and then the inside. But we talked about moving the actual chemical feed pumps and bulk tanks to different locations because right now if one of those chemicals leaks, it crystallizes in the back and being where it's up against the wall, you can't really access it and clean it out. You have to wash water and then fill it up and then sump it out if we move those tanks, kind of reorganize it over to another wall, we can have access all around those tanks to clean up, prevent spills, or, because that kind of, when the caustic and alum get on the floor, that's what's eating them out. That stuff is real corrosive, it'll just chew through concrete. I think that's kind of part of the problem that's going on. That one, that,
It would help, it would really help to have the walls polished like Troy had the basin at the sewer plant with that type of swimming pool bank.
yeah.
That would keep the chemical from eating it into the concrete where you could actually wash it off.
Yeah, plus we've got those big mounds where the old bolt tanks were in there. They're tripping hazards. They're just kind of chunked up and walking through there fast. You don't really see it. And they're just stripping them back. The whole floor probably had to get replaced in there. And then that one picture where sunlight coming through, it looks like foam, but that's the corner of the chem feed room. You can like see the outside, about a 1 inch gap there in the support wall. I think it's the chemical feeder is one of the biggest building maintenance things that we need to kind of go into.
Wouldn't it be cheaper just to pour that whole floor up level with where the tanks were?
That's what he's talking about, doing.
Okay.
It'll have to be
Not beat it
stripped.
out, pour it.
You'd have to have it chemically stripped though, because if you put new concrete over this concrete, the caustic that's eating into the concrete is gonna eat your new concrete. Or seal it, seal it.
Yeah.
Something where to prevent that out, because that's so embedded in there over time. We talk about Handy, with their demand, we're gonna have to, still looking at working some extra shifts or extra hours. One thing we're kind of trying now is keeping a 12-hour day shift instead of 8 hours. That extra 4-hour window in the afternoon and evening only gives us a 4-hour downtime, which we can sustain that. So instead of shutting down at 4, we're at times staying to 8 and having a 12-hour shift. So they work. We're gonna try and work the schedule where one of two ways works 40 hours, where they work 1 4-hour shift, and then or short week long, like 48, 36 hours. Just kind of what's gonna do. We're gonna have to likely need some more shifts coming up this summer. The demand already works at now. It likely won't sustain on 8 hours and then shut down for 8 hours.
How much are you pumping now, Jay?
Recently, the past couple of days, we've done about 2.1. That went out to the system, which is high for this time of year. We can only do the way the set up the filters and all things are now. Probably 2.6, 2.8 would be the max at one time we could do. If we have longer shifts.
What's the plant rated at?
2.25.
That's what I thought. And with the filters down to
Yeah,
50 hours a wash,
it's a plate settler. That's what the plate settler
well,
does.
yeah, the plate settler
Just
deal.
filter time, run times.
It's gonna be tough this summer. If they increase like they did last summer on top of what they're using now,
They're almost using summertime levels
it's gonna be tough.
What are we selling them at?
What was the last billing for the monthly? Do you remember how many gallons? I do not. I don't know off the top of
But if
my
y'all
head.
remember now, when we had the basin on the upgrade, when we done the water plant last time, we went on and had the basin sized and built to add a 4th filter. I mean, I know we can't afford to do that, but if we could get a grant to do it, it would be great because you could slow the other 3 old filters down and you'd have a 4th filter. Instead of 500 gallon a minute on 3, you'd have 500 gallon a minute on 4. But we've already got the basin built, we just have to have the filter built.
Looking at grants for that. Because that's the smaller basins too, and then there's some 3 filters that you go over 2 MGD at one time to flow over 500-600 filters. It pulls that water so quick, you might as well just put raw water into the filters and it binds them and you're putting money into treating the water and then you're wasting and washing out the filters and just kind of you're just literally flushing money down the drain by the way it's set up right now. Hopefully,
At 500 gallon a minute, you could run your filters, 60 hours, 65 hours now? If you jump it up to 550, 575 gallon a minute, your filters drop down to about 30 hours. It's that much silt's pulling extra because the water's moving that much faster on them short basins.
yeah, it's coming through.
you're making more water, but you're wasting more water because you gotta have water you already made to wash the filters to make more water.
Yeah, because to wash the filters, you gotta use the water you already treated, wash it, and then just stuff it in the, send out to the lagoon, and that's water that you've already put money into to treat. Initially, you're just kind of cycling it through. And when the water's colder, without the plate settlers, sometimes it doesn't react and kind of come together really good. There were some couple times where you had to wash 2 filters a day, or 1 filter twice a day, because it was only holding like 8-10 hours. You were at that point, probably sending out more water than you were processing in the system. But some little things we can do with that, the plate settlers, that would help. And then longer hours where we can slow the flow down more to where the filters could, handle the rate coming through. Because if we just run 8 hours and we run fast flows, it keeps putting the load on the filters versus running 12 hours and slowing the flow down. It has more time to settle and get the filters more time to hold before you got to wash them out and send water out.
It's like I always said, if we could get a grant for it, I would love to see 2 giant ponds on that empty land we own between the river and the water plant.
Reservoir basin.
2 reservoirs, so that would aid, you would stop being dependent on the mud flying down that river. You could let that water settle in the river, pump out it when it's pretty water. When the water's bad in the river, pump out the lagoons, cut your chemical costs way down. And the second fold of that is, I've always said, how many tankers go up and down that road, how many train cars go up and down that lake? One spill, we're not gonna pour water out of that lake till it's clean. If we had a reservoir, 3, 4, 5 day water supply, you could pump out a reservoir and keep town furnished with water. Without a reservoir, if anything contaminates that lake, the state's gonna shut us down. We're not gonna be able to pump out of it.
They'll call us now if there's been like a 100-gallon sewage spill 100 miles up the river. They call and tell us, just let us know. But yes, they're pretty. Anything gets in there, they'll tell us to kill the inflow.
But y'all had reservoirs in Statesville, didn't you?
Yeah, they have reservoirs there. Yeah. Anyway,
Do we know why Handy's water use is so high right now?
I showed him how the one tank is just kind of flat lined at full, and it hasn't really came down, which means it's just probably possibly sitting there overflowing. So he was going to check into it after the meeting.
Well, Handy Water's got 49 took off line now for maintenance and repair. So they've just been running their, I think they took a booster pump off it, or the booster pump running now.
It wasn't really.
So they're just using Baden, Byron, or UR Point, Byron, and North Main.
But UR has been just pretty much pegged out full for most of the day. Where we were sending out, we had 2 pumps running all day and just could not fill it up where usually it was. So we were looking at making sure there wasn't a leak out there somewhere, or I've heard times of that tank just sitting there overflowing for hours and nothing really getting done about it.
But they don't have leaks and them tanks don't overflow.
Something is,
I was just going through the meter.
yeah, that's why I told us it's getting built, but it's just making sure we maintain it on our side too. Because another thing I was kind of concerned with when they put that 49 tank back into service, are they going to let us know to be ready? Because that if they open up that valve and fill that quick, that'll suck all the water right out of it and send it down to there. So hopefully they'll coordinate that with us and fill it slowly, or just let us know to be ready to send it that way. Because that's one of the bigger tanks out there. So I'll probably try and get with them the next couple of days about letting us know and notifying us. See if they can fill it slowly versus just opening up the valve.
I'll reach out to Mr. Hennon as well, ask him when their time frame is on that.
So like I said, we just had the first part of SCADA put in where it's monitoring turbidities, flows, it's hooked up to the chemicals. Unfortunately, there were no PLCs at the actual chemical feed pumps that was on the schematics that were supposed to be there. So our next phase is going to tie into that, like a second if it gets approved, where the SCADA will control those chemical feed pumps, the chlorine gas, the phosphate, the aluminum sulfate, caustic. It'll pace that based on the flow coming through, and it'll pace it at the ideal dose of the water coming in. It has a little unit that detects charge of the water, and will pace exactly what needs to be dosed. Because And that over time will save a lot of money because that'll bring your chemical costs, down significantly. Because if you overfeed now, you don't really know it because your water's not bad unless you're really overfeeding. You're just kind of flushing money out. But SCADA will automatically adjust them pumps and feed them exactly what it needs to get the job done. So that's what we're hoping with the next phase to come, and that'll save probably over a year or two the cost of implementing that. All auto supplies, just driving the truck more over something down, a couple times more, so 2,000 covered. All actuators are everything that controls our valves. Michael said valve 16, clear, pretty much bad, and gonna have to be replaced, and about $30,000 for those actuators. Hopefully, we're gonna get some grants on this. We're gonna push hard to get grants this year to cover a lot of this. It's imagine it's supposed to be pretty pricey. I don't have an exact amount, but some of it's gonna be pretty pricey.
There's 15 actuators. And I'm gonna say in the next 5 years, you're gonna replace at least a dozen of them. Because whoever spec'd our drawings on the upgrade, they spec BECs. BEC actuators are actually not made for water and wastewater. They're made for furnace industry and dampeners for exhaust. But to get a little better edge in the market, they made an adapter. BEC did that they could put them on the water and sewer valves to compete with them. You cannot compete with them. They just work. So all them BECs is gonna have to go. Them is gonna have to be put back in. And you didn't put your was it you had that?
Right here.
Oh, okay, you ain't done yours yet. You're last, I'm sorry.
I'm the last one.
Sorry, Troy.
But then the last kind of slide or two is just a general, with some of these upgrades, especially SCADA and the chemical feed pumps, things like these will pay for themselves over a year or two. But the cost of just those two chemicals, the main ones we use, is $10,000 every load that comes in. So if we can cut that in half by feeding the right dose over a year or two, that'll pay for SCADA itself and upgrades. But it also is going to feed the chlorine and all the other things that are more safety sensitive too. And it also SCADA will prevent the plant from getting what's called lost, where if it's not have the right chemicals being dosed to it, or nitrogen comes in, it'll prevent it from having to waste all that water.
Or if the chemical stop being fed, it'll tell you right then instead of you just happen to
before
see
the whole
it.
basin's back. It'll help a lot of that. It's kind of.
How much lead time do you need on the SCADA system?
As far as getting it done,
Yeah.
he's ready to go again with the second phase. We just finished up the first one Monday.
Yeah, that was 6 months or 7 months in the works.
That one, some of the schematic and wiring's already there. The pump's are already there. It probably should take 3 months to get everything done and put in from start time.
It's what we found out, what was paid to have
It
done
wasn't done.
on the plant upgrade when we upgraded the plant. Looking at the blueprints that he went off of to process all this, it showed stuff there. And when you actually pull the cabinets open, it wasn't there.
And a lot of the SCADA things, like the initial fee up front is expensive because of the terms, like the mainframes and the licensing that you have to get the PLCs. But after that, you just pay a licensing fee every year, and it's they come out maybe once a year and calibrate everything. It's relatively inexpensive, but it's saving you money and monitoring everything as it goes. This will be current, should get us through maintaining it probably the next 25 years or so. It's all kind of built in and integrated, but it will save money.
I guess I'm thinking if we say next week or next 2 weeks, go ahead and order it and then pay for it in next year's budget.
He's ready. I talked with him. Everybody, he's ready.
If you order next week, he'll be putting it in, we got her next.
He'll be here next week starting it.
I'm good with that.
Do us in July.
Alright. Any questions for Jason? Jason, thank you. Troy?
Or you get me the grand finale.
Yeah, the problem with going last is that I tend to regurgitate some of the same words that everybody else has used. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. The prices are going up on everything. So, anyway, starting at number 1, which is line item number 12, training and travel. We do have more people going to school now and certification exams. So I'm asking for an additional $2,000 than we had last year, $5,000. That will also cover all of our continuing education hours that we usually end up having to pay for. Let's get down to utilities because I can't control it. Maintenance and repair on the building, line item number 15. The big thing is the laboratory building flooring needs to be replaced. My building is also falling apart. As you can remember, Commissioner Morris, when we bought that building from Forsyth School, it was 1986 double wide trailer, and she's falling apart. We've done a pretty good job of keeping it going, but it does need a new floor tile and any soft spots to be replaced once we pull that tile up. That's $5,600. Maintenance and repair for equipment. This is so multifaceted. The big thing is we need some laboratory equipment. Ours are just antiquated and they just don't make them anymore. So I'm asking for an additional $15,000 for the year. And this kind of goes back to down to line item 33. We have seen more failures this year than all of my years I've been here. Everything's aging out. The expansion was in 99-2000. So now the new equipment is 23 years old. And we're seeing a lot of breakdowns, as you can probably tell from when the manager gives her report about, the clarifiers need to be repaired. And so, we're just seeing a lot of breakdowns, drive units that are failing. And it's just beyond my
Who are my
control.
actuators?
I'm getting there. Put the kids in their corner.
I got stockings.
Maintenance and repair for the sewer lines. That really is dependent on grant monies. I've just go ahead and made a note that we're going to borrow some from the fire department, so that's going to be covered. But hopefully we will see some grant money eventually. Auto supplies. We'll need new tires this year for our town truck, and price of gas is going up, so I've got it estimated at $4,500 additional from last year. Let's see, departmental supplies. Again, we saw more mechanical failures this year than ever before. We must anticipate that this will continue. I've also had quoted heaters for our pump room, sulfur dioxide room, chlorine room, and our shop room. Quoted from Sanford Electric, that was $5,500. So that's included in the $12,000 additional. Our gas prices have gone up. So that is what it is. I just can't control that, but you'll see my numbers there. Let's see. Going down to line item 53, again, I've just got $2,000 for I&I, inflow and infiltration. Hopefully we will be seeing some grant monies to work with that. Sludge removal, I'm only asking for $1,000 additional this year, and that's due to a possible surcharge. If diesel goes above $4 a gallon steady, they will charge us an additional fuel surcharge. Also, we should be having one less land application event this coming year. Well, but when we made this new agreement with the landowner, we had to give her an incentive, I guess is the best way to put it. So we're having to basically rent the land. So that money is and just an additional $1,000 will cover us. Capital outlay equipment. Mike's UMA actuators. We have two that need to be replaced. They're 99 models. And we quoted those in 2024, and he did say that the quote would be good till July 1. And that was $12,416. And let me please note right here that the water plant asked for $30,000 for UMA actuators. Mine is less than half, so I'm saving y'all money everywhere. I don't know. The sewer capital project, line item 76. It's the same stuff, just a different year. I need oxidation ditch number 1 retro. Hopefully we're going to see some grant money from that, and of course the grit and debris removal, and I think we're going to be discussing that when y'all in a few minutes. Let's see, and as it was previously mentioned, a grant writer for the wastewater treatment plant and the collection system, and I'm requesting $20,000 to be put into the fund for the hiring of them. And that's it.
And I happen to know that Troy needs more money than that for UMA actuators. He's just scared to ask for it.
Well, I'm
because
only
he has
replacing-
way more broke than what he just told y'all.
I am replacing 2 a year is what my plan is.
I'm worried about the labor to pick up the tampons out of the fields.
If I could train a dog to do it, I would.
Well, when you get the grit removal in,
Yeah,
you
if
might
we
do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
When is what I want to know. When?
That I don't know. I don't know when the screen is going to be. The screen is going to be installed. But apparently, y'all are approving a resolution here soon, so one step closer. Is there anything else I can answer for y'all?
Good job as always, Joey. I'll feel my spirits.
Michael, it's nice to get you.
I've had his UMA budget though, because they ain't gonna make it.
Do you have any money in your budget? You can go and fix the floors?
Michael's gonna remind you of that.
That I will have to ask the
If you
administration.
do, go ahead.
We'll look at that. Their cutoff date is usually the 31st of May, and so we try, as in Brandon's got a lot. We're trying to wait to see, make sure there's not any breakdowns.
Well, right now,
and things like
and
that, so
Commissioner, to be
major
honest with
things.
you, that's what I'm nervous about, is that we've had so many breakdowns and so many costly repairs this year that I'm nervous. I'm nervous about when the weather starts changing to summer, we start getting hot weather. Man, that's when things
We
really
still got
start.
2 good bills coming up too, that's gotta
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah,
It's in the process of being repaired right now.
yeah.
Same for the water plant.
All right. Well, thank you guys for all the hard work you put into that. I know it's a lot to go through your departments and figure out what it is that we need, and to make us all aware of that. I appreciate all the hard work, and I know the commissioners do as well. And just kind of late of the hour, we'll kind of touch base on stuff. This is just to present everything to you guys, so you know where we are and what we're going to be looking at as far as when figures are dropped into the budget. What are we going to be considering? It is a lot, as everyone has said, everything's going up. It doesn't matter if it's administration down to the water and sewer department. So cost is just on the rise for a lot of things. I've been contacted for our renewals on our insurance, just to list out our general liability insurance. We are currently use Olson Insurance and have been for many years. Our renewal rate was going to come in astronomically high. And so they have reached out to 12 different companies to get it requoted out for us. And looks like it will be still about $11,000 increase, but it was looking at double prior.
What percentage increase is that?
I don't know right off the top of my head. So I'll figure it out and let you know. But previously it was 53%. So we're looking at maybe 11%. And don't quote me on that for sure, but, I did ask him about our auto insurance, and he, came back and said that, right now that the auto coverage, has not followed suit with the rate increases like all of the, general liability and property coverage has. I did just read an article, and I believe it was in the local paper, where, Insurance Commissioner Causey was talking about that they have a hearing coming up about the increased cost of insurance, not just general liability, but all insurance. So, that's something that we really need to pay attention to, because it affects us just as much as it does the individuals as well. So that's part of that. Blue Cross Blue Shield has not dropped their figures for the insurance, health insurance coverage yet. Usually it's about April, so we're a little bit ahead of schedule on that. But hopefully we won't see a huge increase. There have been years that has been tremendous, so we'll keep our fingers crossed on that one. The next line, well, of course, the cost of supplies that cost all departments. Our salary this year, we will be looking at the administrative department, the fire department, and the sewer department. I've given you just a breakdown. I'm still waiting on quotes to come back in from other towns, or not quotes, but their salaries information. I was in a meeting with Michael Bryant last week, and he mentioned that Thomasville is doing an increase to their staffing, and it's going to cost the town $1 million. Of course, they have over 300 employees, but they are looking at a huge increase. I did receive the pay study today, and started just kind of reviewing it, dropping in what we have, but just seeing where they are in comparison to us across the board. But in looking at just the two, I think we've got Thomasville's information, City of High Point. I'm waiting on a few more, and we have sent them out to our clerks group and HR.
I've got a couple to give to you. You may have
And we'll get more of that back to you for us to consider.
So maybe know our size.
Yes, that's the hardest thing is, if we lose staff locally. But when I reach out to HR, I ask for people within 1,500 population. It's still kind of hard. Some towns our size don't have all that we have. They don't have the water and sewer department, full-time police department. So it's a little bit harder for us to gauge where we should be on that. But we'll do our best. I think it's good to have a good cross-reference for larger towns our size, and then towns that provide the same services on a comparable level. So there's still more to come on that. I did receive an increase notice from Waste Pro, which is part of their contract, that they have, they take it based off of what the government determines is the town municipal solid waste and recyclable charges, and each year has gone up. This year it's looking at 5.2% increase over their current rate. So we probably have to. We did not increase last year to share that cost on with residents, but this year maybe consider being that there is a significant increase on that. Projects that we have talked about as far as for the general fund side, one being Town Hall. The USDA reached back out and said that their current rate is 3.75 on a 30-year loan. Just to throw figures out there, the representative stated that, like, if you said $2 million, then our annual payment would be $112,180. I let them know that we're not at a place that we have decided what that figure is, what we're comfortable with, but that does give us an idea of what that payment could possibly be on that building. Have been asked to look into municipal bonds, and the information that I've found, the bonds are they're a little bit different. There's a little bit more to those, to looking into how they fall out. Some of them are supported by voting, like the taxpayers have to vote on the bond, and then if they turn the bond down and you go forward with the process of whatever it is you're wanting to do, how does that sit well with the community? Also, some bonds are based on you raising property taxes. That's one thing that current current board and prior boards have said that they want to try to maintain our current property tax levels if possible. Walter Johnson Park, W. Johnson Park, Bamboo Park, whatever anybody in the neighborhood wants to call it. It is still out there as an option for us to do. Commissioner Morris did reach out to Chris Phelps, and he has started on plan and is going to get that information to us. So whenever
She's gonna try to come to our next meeting too.
Okay.
I got that finalized, but we're gonna try to.
Okay, so for the April meeting. So that'd be good to see something, that we can start putting some teeth to, so we know what we can potentially do with that piece of property. It's a beautiful piece of land. We walked it, and hardwoods and, some old, fire pits that were there from the Boy Scout days, but, I think he was real impressed with the property that we do have. Projected revenues from property tax this next year is looking at $884,256, which is an increase. I've moved all the papers around. It is showing an increase, which, you know, we have a lot of homes being built, so that's coming from that. Whatever my paper. So anyway, I'll keep rolling. On our enterprise fund, which is our water and sewer department, I did list out the information on the grants that we have received. The grant writing that was made available to us through the North Carolina League of Municipalities that you approved at the last meeting, she just sent the scope of work in to the league for approval, and it does touch all the way across Troy into the sewer department if there's grants available, so that is part of that. The ARPA funds for the $553,411 was set aside for Highway 109 extension, which came across at Finch and Well, and that project is almost complete. I believe Mr. Walford still has to disconnect that water line under 109.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And cap the sewer off.
and cap the sewer. So those, just a couple of things that he needs to finish, but I think he's wanting to do it at night because
I think the DOT's making him do it at night.
because it's going to be there in the intersection, and with traffic control, it'll be much easier. Our ARPA fund money, water line rehab is replacing our 2-inch water lines that are around town. Not all, as I've been told by Michael yesterday or the day before, that there are still a few others that we'll have to address at some time in the future. Our bar screen is through conveyor, which we have resolutions to approve tonight to get that continued moving through the state. Our oxidation ditch engineering study, our identify and repair of I&I, and then the direct funding for infrastructure, water, and sewer. Now that is direct funding from the state budget. We have not come up with a scope of work for this money. It is earmarked for water and sewer. Jason and I had a Zoom meeting with Wooten Engineering in order to have an engineering firm come in and work with us on grants and plus be our full-time, like, boots on the ground type of engineering firm. They did state to us that they were busy and they would do their best to get to us. Jason has experience with them through Montgomery County, and they are well known for being able to come into a unit and just map out what is wrong and what the needs are and look for grant money to provide for that. So we are waiting for them to come in and do our asset mapping, which is part of what it would take to be ready to apply for grants. With that being said, until we know what our best avenue is, we don't have a scope for that $2 million. Michael said, you know, lagoon, raw water lagoons would be nice, but I'm not sure how much they
Radio
cost.
meter would be real nice.
I'm not sure how much they cost for that, so I'll have to look into that. The other grant that was a direct funding grant is from the Regional Economic Development for $50,000. Again, we need a scope. What do we want to spend this on? It can be general fund side, it can be water and sewer side. There's no it does not hinder us from crossing over for one or the other. I know we've got several projects for downtown development, looking at our signs and some marketplace upgrades, some things for the park, the things to consider. So think about that as we move forward throughout the budget. There's a lot to consider for the funding that's there.
Is there a time frame, Angel? Where you
On
have
the
to-
direct funding, I actually got an email in this afternoon for the gentleman on that, and I did not get it through the whole email, so I don't know on those two what the time frame is. The others are mostly, 2026 is what they're looking at through ARPA funding, that the projects have to be finished. With the resolutions that we'll approve here in just a few minutes, that puts us a step closer to having this project, bid out. Once it's bid out, I don't think that it'll be that long before they can move forward with them. Especially right now, you know, some projects are ending, ours could be starting as budgets are coming to an end and people aren't having as much work done, so that might be a benefit to us. But for the most part, everything except the direct funding is 2026. Let's see, if there's anything else. I did speak with Heather Miller, and she responded back to me this afternoon.
Really?
She
How long has
did.
it been since you emailed her?
Well, I emailed her last week. She was on vacation the week before. I emailed her again on Friday, and she got back to me and gave me some dates. She actually was out sick and had a child sick as well. So I did get a response back with some dates today. You guys can look at April the 3rd or April the 4th. And she was leaning more towards Thursday, April the 4th, as being a meeting for reviewing all the projects that are going on. It'll be here at Town Hall, probably 5:30, if that works out with everyone.
So if that's 2 weeks, it's a month that she wants this. Because she said last meeting she wanted to meet with us in 2 weeks.
Well, she said in a couple of weeks, but she did
Okay.
she did say that.
I wasn't
couple
getting,
weeks-
but I thought that was 2.
Well, she said a couple of weeks after information was completed, so, plus she's had a vacation week in there, so we can't control someone else's vacation, but,
We can control other things.
so, you guys will let me know if April the 4th works out for everyone, that way I can let her know that that's a go.
Can we let you know right now?
If you know, yes.
How do you feel about April the 4th?
It's fine
What
with
we're
me.
doing?
I'm trying to find my stuff.
We meet on the 2nd, right?
First.
First, right.
I am fine. April 4th.
I'm good.
Okay, Barbara?
Good.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll let her know that in the morning. So we'll do, April the 4th at, 5:30. All right. As I stated just when I started, there's a lot of information that you guys have heard tonight, so, make notes, any questions that you have, let me know. I'll start with the process of our budget worksheet and seeing where we are, where this falls, what we're potentially looking at. And at the next meeting, we'll start reviewing what we feel like, what we can do. And we'll just go from there, okay? And then if there's no other questions on that, maybe we'll move to item 5, and we'll be good.
What does that mean, Angel? What are we doing?
For,
ARPA funds? Is this putting it to bids? Is it
okay.
having
So,
her,
Item 5 is approval of the resolutions. So the state has steps that you have to provide information for them. So what this is basically saying to the state is that we're saying, even though the money's been designated to us, we're saying that we are going to accept the funds and that this is what we're gonna do with it. They require a resolution, they require the scope and tax ID information and then board information. So there's about 6 different things. This is like our last step before money can actually be spent and a project get out and taken care of.
So when will we bid it?
I would think as soon as we can get this information sent back and they send out, it's called a funding agreement letter, I believe is what it is, but it's just like that approval. Like this is our portion of the approval and then they give us a final.
So she has the plans ready to go.
Yes,
They've been approved by the state.
yes.
So she'll go to bid.
I know the bar screen and screw bear is, and stormwater grant, yes. I'm pretty sure the bar screen is the one that they did, that was submitted in December, so,
I know she said that, but
okay. I
so
will,
far,
when I reach
she
out to her
said
tomorrow,
it's
I'll double check with her when I reach out to her tomorrow, but, and then just ask her.
And do we have to stay with her once we do this?
You do,
We have to
because,
stay with LaBella.
yes, on these projects, on your ARPA fund projects. If not, we have to start all over.
You sure about that?
Yes, because the state has approved it for this engineering firm. So,
Does she have a boss? Everybody does.
yeah, she does. So, the two resolutions that we're looking at tonight, the first one is Resolution R 2324-10, and it is accepting the ARPA funds for the purpose of the bar screen and screw conveyor replacement project at $100,000. And the second one is R 2324-11, which is $400,000 for the stormwater planning grant. And both of those have been submitted to the state, and like I said, this is the final step before they give us the go-ahead to move forward spending the money.
Do they have to be approved separately or can they?
Yes, I need a motion on each one. So on the first one for the bar screen, I need a motion for that one.
Go ahead.
I make a motion to accept the resolution, the ARPA funds for the $100,000 for the bar screen conveyor replacement project.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion does carry.
All right, and then for the second one for the stormwater planning grant.
I so moved, Mayor.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Angel, I know I've said this to beat a dead horse to death, but she's been our engineer since September of 22, and she's been here once, maybe twice.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't think we're getting the service that we're supposed to be getting.
I know, I have shared that with her. I've shared that we feel that she needs to be present and, I know it's the projects that she's working on for us, which I thought was the same thing as being what Wooten was gonna provide for us, as being our own site engineering firm, and we do not receive that service. So I feel like once we have finished these projects with our ARPA funding, and we're moving in a direction with someone else, with Wooten, I have confidence in what I've seen from their, information they provide through references and plus what Jason has worked with them. So, we can get through this and just keep moving forward with someone else.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not.
All right.
If she does have a boss, maybe we should reach out to her boss.
Well, we can,
I
absolutely.
mean, we're gonna talk to her, right?
That's the only person I've ever spoken to. Now, I've spoken to Lavella on other occasions for like people who are using them as their
I mean, I know they're a
engineer.
huge company, and they're based out of New York, and, you know, they're,
See, that's
Maybe
what I
that's,
knew.
we're just too.
I thought they were in Charlotte.
yeah, no,
Okay.
their main headquarters is New York, they got them in 30 states. 5 offices in North Carolina.
So it is a big, that's a huge
Yeah, it's a
organization.
huge company, which must be too big for us.
Could be. And, you know, and the unfortunate part is, you know, and I hate to be a repeat or seem like a broken record, but, you know, everyone is overworked with this ARPA funding. Everybody is projects, everybody has more work than they can get out the door. And then just like what they said, we can't get quotes back from businesses because they're covered up, they're quoting, they're working, supply and demand is low. It's a lot harder post 2020 to get things accomplished like we used to, and to have someone who you're used to having in front of you, because remote work is now a way of the world, and people can do it.
Yeah, Handy must not have trouble, their engineers are better than me.
Well, if we pay them on retainer, they will be here every meeting. So I guess it depends on how much we want to put, just like with our attorney.
Nothing out of it now. Pay them or not pay them, we don't get nothing from them.
On a different topic, I know that you talked about the projects and you talked about the town hall renovation project. Is there any more discussion we need to have about that tonight, or are you just bringing it before us to consider?
Well, I think we absolutely need to come up with a figure, but
That's the reason I was asking. I spoke with a commercial contractor to ask, like, if you were doing a new build, could he just give me a ballpark figure of what it would run per square foot?
Mhm.
That building is, without the canopy in the front, the square foot is 4,540 square feet. And if it was a new build, at new build price of $230 a square foot, that comes up to $1,044,200. And that would be if it was a completely new build.
Sure as might as well tear it down and build new.
Well, I mean, you know, the quote unquote market value on the building right now is almost 1.3 tax value. Yes. But, you know, I wish we would come up with a number, and, you know, I was including contingency if we did like a 1.5. That might cover us. I really wish that we could do like they do with the house and give you a estimate as to what it would run if you build it as presented, but apparently that's not how commercial buildings are done anymore.
yeah, I know when we were meeting with the Fuller Group, you know, he gave us that price per square foot as well, and with it being a remodel, I can't imagine that a remodel would be the same as tearing a building down.
Right, and that's me too, but
But
that's why I just.
But that's essential what you're saying, right?
I'm just saying that if it were a new building, if it was a new building, that's a rough estimate. So that could at least give us a number to go off of. A renovation, because the walls are there, there's gonna be internal stuff, but it shouldn't be that much. But I thought with
It's a starting
contingency,
point.
at least it would give us a starting point on what we would be looking at.
Which is, you know, kind of like, you know, Mary and I just had the conversation with Paul Briggs, and when Paul came back to me, he said, you know, he has to know a figure. He doesn't want to get too deep in the weeds and say, well, it's gonna be this, this, and this, and yet we're only looking at $1 million, or we're looking at an X amount. So, and who are you going forward with? You know, when I talked to USDA, their representative, they have strict guidelines, and I know we've got several USDA loans now, but on construction loan, you have to do bids. Some contractors, some engineering firms do not like to do that. Architect firms don't. They would rather have, and quote me if I'm wrong, but Paul said he would rather have a general contractor and that general contractor handle your bids. Well, we're a municipality, and we have to bid. I mean, that's just the bottom line, so, I don't know if it would even work for us to move forward with him, but we do need a figure.
Of course, we can bid a general contractor. We can put out bids for the general contractor, right?
Well, see, based on what USDA spoke, and I will get more information on that, it is, everything has to be bid out. So, I mean, yes, you can bid a general contractor, but they like to be able to work with people that they work with, and that may not necessarily be our choice when we move forward, if we go forward with using their funding.
And if we bid out everything, we have to go with a low bidder?
No.
No,
Okay.
no, you don't. You just have to prove that you,
Got multiple bids.
exactly,
Okay.
And you need to have a good reason that you don't take a little bit,
right.
but it's not, don't have to.
Okay.
So, our next meeting's April 1st, and I believe everyone will be present, maybe not Barbara,
I'm not
so
sure yet.
if you'll let me know
If
ahead of
I
time,
come
but
back.
by the meeting April 1st, let's look at that harder and see if there's, what we can come up with, so we have a starting point. Whatever the price is, at least we know where we're headed, or if we're not. So,
Yeah, we need to do something.
I agree.
And we need
I mean,
to
say with it.
remember that when we move forward with that, then we're gonna have cost here and
Yes.
cost at the fire station to bring these up to whatever they bring them up to.
we will. That's the ongoing process. It's kind of like paying off the fire truck. Once we do this part, then the next two parts are this building for the police department, that building for the fire department. And, Brandon and I have talked about when we do that at the fire department, the day's gonna come when we're gonna have a full-time fire department. And that's gonna mean rooms for them to sleep. So it's a lot to think about. There's gonna be a lot of that comes after. So we don't want to get too much on this that we can't move outside of that box when we have to. One other thing I'll just mention real quick is we do have the elected officials business social. It is the 18th of April, 6:30 at Larry Furr's. They did reach out and ask if we would host that. Wasn't something, they had just updated the schedule and it was our turn, so.
April 18th.
April the 18th. You'll let Paula know.
Paul, I'll be there, you put me down.
Same for me.
All right, Mayor, is there anything else?
There's one more thing, if y'all have this.
We don't have time.
If you look on the back of the water plant's budget, on the very back, Jason was scared to ask for this, but I'm gonna ask for it for him.
He's new on the block.
Yeah. Can we get a witch doctor or a warlock or a witch or somebody to spread some sage and get rid of that lame ghost at the water plant?
Do you know Al Henry? He might help you.
I know, I first say
I know everybody thinks that's a joke.
I did until this morning.
He did until this morning. Tiffany has packed her bags and was going to leave that water plant in the middle of the night and call me to come in.
What happens at the water plant?
Weird
Stuff that happened this morning.
Stuff I told him happened, and they was, his laptop went flying across the room this morning
Nobody around it.
with nobody in the room.
Wow. Who's it supposed to be?
I believe it's Warren.
Who?
I believe it's
One
Warren.
that died.
Died down there in the
Yeah.
office.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, it could be.
Y'all, when you're sitting there in the middle of the night and it's quiet as a mouse in there, and just the motor's humming and you hear water running, then all of a sudden you hear. I mean, it's that loud, if not louder, and you sit there looking around going,
I always thought
What
maybe
is
I
this?
wanted to go.
there's nothing there.
By himself?
He might have set the alarm on at Tiffany's.
I'm
Not
I don't know, honestly.
Thanks, y'all.
Somebody's gotta look into that thing.
Maybe I need to have a
holy
good
water
one.
That's a long walk.
Get an agenda.
No, I take a bus.
Mayor, can we get an adjournment real quick?
I make
Sure
a
can.
motion, we adjourn.
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I wanted to say one thing, I thought y'all did a real good job presenting.
Yes, you
tonight.
did.
Yes.
You did, the information was good and straight to the point. It was probably one of the best ones.
Don't you have connections with somebody?
The witch doctor.
Call Lisa.
Yeah.
Holy water plant, we do good.
What do you call these dogs?
Does it happen all the